Okay, thank you for having here again. Let's have the continuation of the schools. We have the reader response criticism. The past school or criticism, literary criticisms, concerns more about the author nor the text. But reader response criticism is special because it is focused more on what readers interpreted on the text, or what are those responses based from the point of view of the ones who read the story or the poem. This reader response is concerned on how the work is viewed by the audience. Similar to what I said a while ago. In this approach, the reader creates the meaning, not the author or the work. In reader response criticism, the audience should read the entire literary text before extracting or ejecting the meaning of the work. You need we need to understand first the totality before we proceed. Reader response is special because it could be the summation of all of the school of literary criticism. Because at the end of the day, the one who is reading is the one who will be interpreting the definition, the meaning of the literary text. It's his response. We don't know if he is familiar with the author, if he's familiar with the background of the story, the biography, the history, the structure. Surely, he will interpret that because he's the one who's reading. The structure of the literary text will come out because he's reading the text. This is special because it's the summation of all schools of literary criticism. Understood? The individual reader, including his background and beliefs, are taken into account. That also concerns with the psychoanalytic of the reader, not only the psychoanalytic of the author, but also his own view. Remember, we have this individual reaction, or the so-called individual differences. We have different perspective, we have different philosophy that we are standing on. That's why I said, I just want to reiterate again that the reader has the responsibility of his response or criticism. Readers do have different tradition and also beliefs. If the moral or the lesson is different from his belief, then we can't judge him that he is incorrect based from what he views. Understood? This is a special reader response. Next is formalism. Though structuralism on for our first school is similar to formalism, there is this thing which differentiate the two. Formalism approach or formalism school of literary criticism is focused on education. We are using formalist approach, or this is the shallow part of the literary text, because we are just assessing and evaluating the words, the structure of the words into sentences or phrases. Then also the use of punctuations. How about the structure? How we introduce the essay or the literary text. What is the is it started with a conventional type, which is about the setting, or is it about what happened, or is it about foreshadowing? It's under formalism. We are just scratching the meaning on the shallow part of the text. Understood? Though structuralism is similar to formalism, they differ in some parts. Structural approach concerns only with the structure, the way it was written, while formalism, it concerns also with the structure, the meaning of the words, the construction of the word, and the language also used in the text. Is there any jargon? Is there any scientific word? Is there a new word created? It's under formalism approach for literary criticism. No. This formalism considers the work in isolation, disregarding author's intent, author's background, context, or anything else outside the work itself. Understood? That's it. How about mythological? Let's proceed into this mythological and archetypal approach. What is mythological? This approach to literary study is based on Carl Jung's theory named collective unconscious. Understood? Unconscious, these are the things that you didn't expect to happen. It's concerns with fictional things. It concerns with fantasy. Okay? Repeated or dominant images or patterns of human experience are identified in the text. The changing seasons, the cycle of birth, the death, and rebirth. And also this heroic quest or immortality. Those genres under mythological or archetypal approach or criticism that we may use is the epic. Ano pa? About gods and goddesses. Adventures. The adventure of Don Quixote. It's archetypal. Opo. The descent into the underworld. There is an ascent into heaven. Fall from innocence. That one. You may use this certain approach on literature. Stating these mythological creatures, the adventure itself. If you are familiar with the Divine Comedy, it has 3 books: the Inferno, the Purgatorio, and also the Paradiso. The protagonist or the character is traveling and having an adventure into these places. First in Inferno, they describe what's image, what is the image of Inferno? Who are those people living and suffering in Inferno? Who are in Purgatorio? Who are in Paradiso? Okay? It's under mythological. Collective unconscious, there are certain basic and central images and experiences that are inherent in human psyche, human thinking or imagination. Yon. Example of archetypes, characters, scapegoats. We have the hero, we have the villain, we have the outcast, the temptress, we have the mother and father, we have this also the mentor. It's other archetypes. Okay, we have this deconstruction. What is deconstruction criticism? This theory questions the text. Apo, what kind of text? You are questioning um, every part or some part of the text itself. Hmm. Is there any gap between the moral and the normal way, or the now, or the previous one? Is there a gap within the past and the present? Is there a gap within the author and the reader, or the author in the text? Is there a gap? Hmm. It's a deconstruction. The deconstructionist critics begins by discerning a flaw in the discourse. When I say deconstruction, it concerns more about the problem on the literary text. He is questioning some part of the text. And then he reveals hidden articulation. Yun. Deconstructing a text calls for careful reading and a bit of creativity because you are just asking or questioning the text. And afterwards, you will answer that. And that's how you do deconstruction. The text says something other than what it appears to say. Now, the belief is that language always betrays its speaker because sometimes that's why we have this deconstructionist because of this unseen and the use of figurative languages, especially the metaphor. Some readers, they are interpreting a text literally, not figuratively. Opo, that's how deconstruction works. You critique based from the problem that they arise on the text. Next, how about psychoanalytical? I was saying a while ago about this, about the psychoanalytical. Psycho, it concerns with the mind. Analytical, it's simply analysis. There's analysis of the thinking of both the writer and the reader. You can use that. What you think about the poem? What you think about the text? Understood? It consists about the way you think. Psychoanalytical applies the ideas of Sigmund Freud or the Freudian psychologist to literature. What are these thinking that may present on the said literary text? Understood? It concerns with the ego and superego. The things which is present, those are the things na um, conscious on your mind, unconscious. Yeah, and that one. And also this type of literary criticism encourages the reader. Not only is critiquing to be creative in speculating about the character and the author, about what's the motive. Is there a drive? Is there a fear? Or what's the desire on the text? The belief that is creative writing is like dreaming. It disguises what cannot be confronted directly. These are our super ego. These are the unconscious mind that we can really think about on the literary text. It is not written there, but it could probably be there by means of having such situation or words. There is a direct relationship between the text and the author is presumed and made the center of inquiry. Okay? Thank you for listening. If you have questions, kindly find me at my Gmail account.